Let's go ahead and start. I'll pray for us. Father, would you help us today as we review this material? Would you help us ask great questions? And I pray that you would continue to make us triumph as we walk down this path to learn this great language that you picked of all languages to be the perfect vehicle to convey your new covenant truth. Help us learn this well. And we pray all this in Christ's name. Amen. So I want to call on, get us into the habit of being called on. Don't freak out about that. But I'm just going to call on you to do things in class, okay? Morgan, tell us one thing about the case system.
The case system is how you can tell what function in the sentence each noun is serving.
That's exactly right, and that's the key thing to know in Greek. Carlos, what can you tell us about the nominative? Right. The main thing is it's the subject, and then a secondary use is if you have an is sentence, it can be the predicate nominative. That's exactly right. Christopher, tell us something about the genitive case. All right, that's close. That's the accusative. So the genitive is the of case. So that's where we get like the term genus, and it's the source of things. So think of that as the of. So the genitive case, that's what the genitive case will tell us. Good. Lauren, tell us something about the dative case. Yeah, with prepositions it implies rest. That's exactly right. And another grammatical function of the dative without a preposition, it's to or for whom the action is done. But the preposition, Lauren, you're exactly right. The first use is as the object of prepositions with rest. Very good. Michael Keck, tell us something about the accusative. Direct object of the verb. Exactly right. Noah, tell us something about the vocative.
It's like a direct address.
Direct address. Oh, so and so. Mostly in Greek, it's used of "oh God" or calling God's name, something like that. Kester, can you say the definite article, the masculine declension of the definite article? So the word "the" in Greek, that paradigm declension, can you say that out loud in order? Well, that's why we have friends to help us. Let's say it together. Masculine in order. Ha, tu, to, ton, hoi, tone, tois, tus. Perfect. So I have two Haleys. Haley Smith, can you say the feminine definite article? Perfect. Triumph. That moment in battle when you feel the line first give way and you realize this is going to be a rout. That's what that is right there. Well done, Haley. And then Haley Brown, can you do the neuter definite article? Well, that's what friends are for. Let's say it together. So the neuter, what is it? Ta, tu, to, ta, and then the plural. Ta, tone, tois, ta. What can anyone tell me about the neuter? What's always true of the neuter? Nominative and accusative are always exactly the same. And the genitive and dative plural is always exactly the same as what the masculine, and the genitive and dative singular are always exactly the same. So if you can get the masculine and feminine and remember what the nominative is, you can do the neuter from what you've already done, right? Good. Bryn, what can you tell me about this chart? What are these things? What are these words? Right, so they'll call these the paradigm words. So this is like the chief example. So the main way masculine nouns decline, so they call this a declension, is asu on f. So the red you can put to lots of different masculine words, and that will tell you what the nominative and Bryn, what do you just notice kind of in broad strokes about these masculine endings? What are they very similar to? Right, very similar to the neuter and very similar to the definite article. Once you have the definite article, you kind of have these main paradigm words. You almost have those memorized when you do the chart, so that's good. All right, so Laura Neff, can you tell me what an adjective is? It's a word that describes a noun. I remember when I was in Greek and the lady was teaching us, and she talked about an adjective. I did not know what an adjective was. You guys are much further along. An adjective is a word that describes a noun. So if I say, a man ran the race, what is the subject of that sentence? Man. And what is the direct object of that sentence? And what's the verb of that sentence? So you've got subject, verb, direct object. Now if I say the fast man ran the race, what is the word fast? It's an adjective because it modifies the word man. You with me? Okay, so adjectives in Greek have to agree with the words they modify in gender, in number, and in case. So if I said in Greek, the fast man ran the race, and anthropos is the word man, what do I have to put on the ending of fast to make it agree with man in that sentence? Os. So I take the word fast, the fastos man, okay? If I wanted to say the fast woman ran the race, what ending do I have to put on fast? A. If I say the fast child ran the race, what ending do I have to put on the end of fast? On. So the definite article and the adjectival, they have to agree with the words they modify in gender, number, and case. Does that make sense to everybody? Okay. So these are the standard adjectival endings. In effect, they're just repeating the definite article. But you have to know them because that's going to tell you which word they modify. Because adjectives can be before the noun or after the noun. They can be separated from the noun a little bit, but it's the ending that will tell you which word, not the word order. So we have to learn this chart. This is a great chart. It repeats. So Let's see what we can do with these sentences. Morgan, what can you tell me about NRK Einhar Logos?
Am I translating it?
Whatever you want to do. Tell me something, translate, whatever you want to do.
It means in the beginning was the word.
Right? So ein is was, in is a preposition, in takes the dative, in beginning was the word. Word is masculine, so ha is masculine. All right, Kester, what can you tell me about Kai ha logos ein pros ton theon? So ein here is this was. Do you guys find this helpful? Like if we did it like this, would that be helpful? Or not? I'm a very visual learner, and sometimes that helps me. Would that help you if we put it that way to see that ein is the same in the same sentence? Maybe you're a visual learner too. Part of what Greek does, it helps us find our learning styles, and once you can identify your style, then you can use that to your advantage lots of different ways. So the word was toward God. Good. Carlos, what can you tell me about this third sentence here? Right, and would this help if we did this? I don't know. Sometimes I get carried away. They call these things exegetical outlines, and I have to admit, I love exegetical outlines. Like, they're just beautiful to me, so I don't know if it's helpful, then use it. If not, but that's perfect. And the word was theos. The word, I told you, I'm getting carried away with this, but good, very good. Christopher, what can you tell me about the fourth sentence? Right, and this man was in the beginning toward God. And do you see, if you know this sentence, you know this? And if you know this, you know this? That's a beautiful way to learn vocabulary. Just start. One of the things I tell people to do is find passages that you love in the original language and put them on a sheet and just read them over and over. You'll be amazed at what you can start to see in the grammar and the beauty of it. All right. Are we good with this? This isn't terrifying. We're friends here. We're learning how to triumph in a hard subject, but don't let me push you too hard. So if your head starts hurting, say we'll take a break, but we'll do this together. Lauren, what can you tell me about this sentence? All things through him came about. The Logos brought about every single thing that exists. That's what John's saying. Very well done. Michael, what can you tell me about this sentence? And it's okay if you can't get all of it, because these are hard sentences. We're just learning to translate them. But can you tell me anything about this sentence? All right, which words did you get? Perfect. So, and came about, and then hen is not one thing. Now, for everybody, does this help you at all to do this? Do you see that those words are the same? And then, do you see, once you do that, do you see that you have this parallel construction with these prepositions? We can do it this way. All things through him came about, and blank him there came about not one thing. So we're going to make a great guess with chorus. What's our guess? Apart from him. And through him all things came about, then nothing came about apart from him. There is not one thing in all of creation that doesn't belong to Jesus, because he created it. He creates it and he sustains it. Now, this is a hard sentence, and listen, we're doing a hard subject, so don't feel bad if you miss one every now and then. But Noah, can you tell us anything about this part of the sentence?
I roughly translated it, in him was light, but I know there's...
Oh, yeah. So, yeah, you got that perfect. That's this part of it. In him was Zoe. Zoe was in him. This is a relative. What? And can you see how this word kind of looks like that word? So what this is the perfect of this word. So this came about. The perfect is has come about. What has come about in him, Zoe Ain, was Zoe. Now, I don't know, that might exhaust the meaning, the full meaning, but if John is playing with the idea of Jesus as the new Adam, where is Zoe before God creates her? In Adam. Bryn? Yes, correct it, because I'm going to let you assign your own grade to this quiz. And I want you to give yourself, here's how I want you to grade the quiz. Give yourself the grade that will make you the best student. So if you need to be encouraged a little, maybe you give yourself a little bit better grade. If you haven't quite done as much as you should have done, give yourself what you believe is the grade that will help you become the best student. Because at the end of the day, that's what grades should be, should they not? We're all together. We're on a team. The goal of the team is to become the best team members we can. The test is never the end goal. The end goal is the product that it works in our lives. So we want these to be instruments to help us become better team players. So correct your work, and then at the end of the day, assign the grade that will help you become the best student you can be. What has come about in him was Zoe, was life. What came about in him was light. I don't know if you've ever thought about this, but have you ever thought about that creation exists in the mind of God? Have you ever thought about that? People want to say what's outside of creation. That's the wrong way to think of it. Think of creation being in God's mind. God is outside of everything. God is here. God is everywhere. So what happened, what came about in him was Zoe. Haley Smith, anything in this sentence recognizable to you? And I realize these are hard sentences, so it's okay if nothing is recognizable, but what do you see in that sentence?
I wrote down, Zoe, obviously, and Zoe was the light of man.
That's perfect. And do you see how this doesn't have the definite article? And this one does? That's called the anaphoric use. So it's, in him was Zoe, And that Zoe I was talking about, or as you correctly did, the Zoe was the light. And then I think you're right. This does mean humanity here. And so you translated of man, literally of the men, but I think yours is the more polished translation there. The people that, so in Greek, when you're talking about people in the abstract, anthropos is what you use. And then there's a word aner that means like male, man. So the light was the light of human beings. Good.
So what does Zoe translate to directly? Is it life or life?
It's life, so we get zoology from it. But in the Greek Old Testament, Zoe is also Eve's name. So in the Septuagint, it isn't Adam and Eve, it's Adam and Zoe. And so it's Zoe's tree that they could have eaten from. And then you start realizing, oh, they might be playing with that. Instead of eating from Zoe's tree, they eat from tree of knowledge of good and evil. So to fix it, God comes to a tree of great evil and turns it into a tree of knowing great good. In fact, turns it into comes to a dead tree and turns it into a living tree. And we taste and see that the Lord is good. We ate our way into this mess. Partially, we're going to eat our way out of it in terms of God. How beautiful is that? Can I get a fist bump on that? That's pretty elegant there. So we called on Haley Smith. Haley Brown, and I realize these are really hard sentences, but anything in this sentence makes sense to you? Anybody? Is it Carlos? Is that right? And Carlos, how do you say your last name? Portilla. That's right. Okay.
And the light in the darkness shines.
And the light in the right. In him was the light of mankind, and the light in the darkness shines. Good? So is some of that starting to become clear? All right, Bren, you get to do the last one. What do you, any of that makes sense to you?
I stood in the darkness, could not hold it down.
And the darkness did not hold it down. That's exactly right. And you know, do you not, that anything in blue is a hyperlink? So when I give you the chapter, this is how you'll get the exact quiz. So you have the exact quiz. So from here on out, unless we need a rest day, we'll do 2A the first day in the chapter. We'll do the B, 2B in the second day, and then 3 days from now we'll do 3A, 3B. So each chapter should have the quiz embedded. Have all of you been able to access that? Sometimes the fonts don't work perfectly. So every time we have a B quiz, the first part of the B quiz is going to be vocabulary. And what we're doing is just memorizing the top 500 words over the course of this year. Now, when you're learning a foreign language, is this mind-blowing to you? Once you learn the top 500 words, you can understand 80% of every conversation in a language with just 500 words. Now, an educated person in English, what is it, 100,000 words we may know in English, but 80% of the language, 500 words. So what's the first thing we should do in Greek? Learn the top 500 words. So that's what we're going to do. And so these are in order of frequency. So what's the most common word in Greek? It's the word the. The second most common word in Greek is the pronoun he, she, or it. And it's autos, alte, alta. looks just exactly like the endings of the definite article, but it has the word ata in it. Now, what word in English do we get from the word autos, ate, ata? Yeah, so like autonomous, self-rule. Autos can mean same. So this is the second most popular word in Greek. Third most popular word is kai. What does kai mean? And. There are a few times where and won't work. When and won't work, try even. All right, but and is where you start. 90% of the time, that's how you translate it. Now, Greek has a strange feature, and it's in a phrase called men de. And most of us are taught that men means on the one hand, de means on the other hand. So if you talk about a men de argument in Greek, it's going to be on the one hand, this, de, on the other hand, that. So de means on the other hand. Now the tricky thing about men de is both these words are called post-positive words. And what that means is you're going to have a word, and then you're going to have men, you're going to have a word, you're going to have de, but you have to translate men here before the word. So it's called a post-positive word. So when you see a men de, you're going to have to move it up one position in the sentence to translate it into English. So there are a host of post-positive words in Greek. Men de is the main one. The funny thing about de is some people will use de without using the word men. So if you were doing that literally, you would say on the other hand, but you've never said on the one hand. So some people will say this is a mild adversative. It's not quite the word but. It's not quite the word and. It's somewhere between and but. But we don't have a word like that in English. So if it has a men with it translated on the other hand, if it doesn't have a men, you're going to have to decide, is it closer to and here or is it closer to but here? But it's somewhere between those two words in Greek. There's another word for but that's the hard adversative word. This is somewhere between those two words. Tis T is a certain man, a certain thing. Ami. How many of you've heard in a sermon, ego ami? I am, right? Before Abraham was, ego ami, I am. Well, this is the am part of that. Ami is I am. Asomai is I will be. Ain is our friend, was. And then ani is to be. To be or not to be, that is the question. So that's how you do that in Greek. Ami is am. Asomai is will be. Ain is was. Ani is to be. Any questions on that? Whenever the vocabulary words are given indented, I'm not going to count off if you don't get the indented ones, but if you get them, I'll give you extra points. Okay, so you can learn them if you feel good about that. If not, at least learn the one that's not indented. All right, hutos haute tuta means this man, this woman, this thing. We've already had hutos, right? A is or. Notice that that's not the feminine definite article. The feminine definite article is hey. This is a. So With the rough breathing, it's the feminine. Without the rough breathing, it's the word or. You with me? Hey, our friend Mendet on the one hand, on the other hand. Okay, and then our first curveball, tis-t, someone, anyone. Now, that looks remarkably like tis-t here, right? In fact, they're declined exactly the same way. What's the only difference between the two words? One has the accent, one doesn't have the accent. And I'm going to give you a great mnemonic device. Whenever you see it, this is how you know which one is which. If the T is accented on the first syllable, it's the question mark. If the tis-t is not accented, then it's not the question mark. Right? So if it's accented on the first syllable, it's the question mark, who or what thing. If it's not accented on the first syllable, that is the very first one, then it's not the question mark. It means a certain man, a certain thing. You with me? So that's our mnemonic device. The accent will tell us, is it the interrogative pronoun or is it the indefinite pronoun? With me? I think we need to rest. Second, I'm pushing you a little hard. I don't mean to. You guys are doing well. Warmed my heart to see you riding the daylights out of that hard test. Makes me realize that you're studying.
Do you take into consideration the rough breathing and the accent marks?
No.
Okay.
No. All right. Has, hey, ha is the relative who. In the sentence, what came about in him was life. We've already had that, right? Gar, so this is not yap, right? This is gar, G-A-R, gar, and it's a post-positive word. What does a post-positive word mean? One step deep. So when you come to gar, you've got to move it up to translate it. And it's the word for, in the sense of she did very well on the test, for she studied. So we don't really have that use of for in English. It's kind of archaic. We would say because. We're going to learn a different word, because. So if you can understand for in the sense of conjunctive for, that's what gar is. Yes? We are all in this together. We're getting up the mountain. I'm going to be our guide, and so I want to help you along. Some parts of the trail will be easier than others. Don't be afraid to ask for help. Oo is not. It can be ook or ooks, depending on if the next word begins with a vowel or a rough breathing mark. But just start off as oo. Oo is not. And Lego, if logos means word, what do you think Lego would mean? Say. And that's what it is. I say Lego my ego, right? I don't know if that's help you or not, but Lego is say. So you want to get those 20 words down. Those are our first 20 out of 500. The better you get these words down, the easier the readings are going to be later. Now, you can read this case system for yourself. It's straightforward. It's exactly what we've already learned. Now we're going to come to the reading. Now, if we were uber wealthy in England, our parents would send us to an elite school like Hogwarts, right? That's the thing. Well, if we had uber wealthy parents and they could send us to Hogwarts, what we would learn is Greek, and this would be the Greek that we learn. So this is a book. You can get a paper copy of it. It's called A Little Greek Boy. The teacher is Rouse. So who's like the headmaster in Hogwarts? Sorry. Yeah. Okay. I'm totally culturally ignorant, but yeah. And that guy wrote a book for us. And so this is like we're in 4th grade and we're going to learn this language. And he's written a story, but he expects us to be able to guess what the words mean. After all, we're from nobility, right? If we weren't, we wouldn't be at Hogwarts. That's kind of the thing. So what does ego mean? I. What does men say? On the one hand, I, Amy, am. On the one hand, I am a Paidion Hellenikon. I am a little Greek boy. Oiko de in agrois. Now, Rouse is thinking we can guess what every one of these words mean. What's the closest word in English to the word oikos? We get the word economics from it. So it's the word house. Oikos is house. Oikion is a little house. Oikao means I live in. So this is from oikao. So what would you think? If lego means I say, what would oiko? I live. I live de. So this is min de. The reason the e's fallen off is, or epsilon, is because the next word begins with a vowel. So it's an elided thing. That's what that little mark means. So how would you translate oiko de? In the agrois. And don't look it up. Guess. What's the closest English word? Agriculture. So what would you think? I live on the farm. You fist bump. You just got, you just took your step to being Sir, whoever that you were born to be, or Lord, or. So on the other hand, I live in the fields. House. You're eating house when you eat that. So Entaltha means there. What is gar? Or is that yap? It's gar. Okay, so what do we have to do with gar to translate it? It's a post positive, so what does that mean? For there in tois agrois. How would you do that? There in the fields. Tis, okay, accent or no accent? No accent means what? A certain Georgos is, his name is Thrasylos. Thrasylos means bold plunderer. Kind of a weird name to name your kid, but whatever. We won't judge. So there in the fields was a certain Georgos. So I'm going to make some intelligent guesses. You tell me if they're good or not. I think Georgos means a 747. What do you think? No? Okay. I think there's a certain NFL team in the Agros. You know, by okay. I guess there's a certain gay ergos. Gay means earth. Ergos means work. There is. So what does the word George in English really mean? It means farmer, the earth worker. There in the fields is a certain earth worker, and his name is Thrasylos, who Georges and has a chorion. So the Georgos, Georges. So if I translate this 747, I'm going to translate this takeoff, but you guys kind of flag that for me, so I'm going to try farmer, and so I'm going to make a brilliant guess about this word. Farms, and he has so this is a diminutive. He has a little chorion. So you ask, who am I and who is Thrasylos? And this is what our teacher at Hogwarts will tell us, because after all, we've got to be reaffirmed that we're stupid. You know, that's part of what you get in the English, is you've got to be reminded that you're stupid. So the teacher says, Lego Day, I will surely tell you. Well, you get the idea. So, what I want you to do, and please do this in groups, you can translate all of this, but try to guess what it is. That's what Rouse believes you can do. He believes from words in English, you can guess the meaning of all these sentences. And that's what we'll have our quiz on Friday. Let's see. Yeah, pass them forward and make sure you put the grade on them. And I really am going to put that grade in, so